hi again, everybody. Welcome back to the Mount Union Football Huddle. I'm Review Sports Editor Mike Brown, joined by Mount Union beat writer Jeff Zupanic. Jeff, before we get to the big NCAA semifinal between Mount and Mary Hardin Baylor coming up this weekend in Texas, let's look back at last week's quarterfinal game. Mount scores 70 points in a big win over Alfred.
Yeah, a very offensive-minded game. You know, it started that way right from the get-go. First series of the game, Mount Union threw a rare pick six, and then it was just off to the races. Then that was the only time they trailed 7-0. They marched right back down the field, and eventually went up by 3 scores. And I think that kind of really forced Alfred to just abandon its running game. Because they ended up throwing the ball 67 times. But I don't think that was in their game plan. Even as good of a quarterback as he was, Tyler Johnson, you know, he ended up being the East Region Offensive Player of the Year. But I don't think that was in the game plan. So it's just one of those things. They thought to get back into the game, but they ended up scoring so quickly that Mount Union was able to get back on the field and score just as quickly.
Anybody want to single out for Mount from last week's game on either side of the ball, Jeff?
I think Dom Davis. I think you know the way he bounced back after that pick six in a playoff game and came down on the next drive. He was 5 of 5, got a passing touchdown, and then the running game. And he also, Dom Davis, had 100 yards rushing. Did a very good job sensing when the pressure was coming and not trying to make any mistakes. Scrambled for a lot of first downs, and then senior Bradley Mitchell over 100 yards. So I think the running, and then you have to credit the offensive line. Anytime you have a good rushing game, I think they really took control of that game from the start and just dominated in the trenches.
Yeah, it seems like the offense has really come on the last couple playoff games.
Yeah, they're playing very well. I mean, you know, they've faced some very good teams, some good defenses, and they've been able to get their points when they've needed them. I think what's been most impressive for a freshman quarterback and a lot of youth on the offense has been how, what I want to say, just how poised they've been when they've been in a challenging situation offensively. When they've needed a touchdown, they usually have been able to answer and get it. And I think that's been big for their confidence.
Right. Well, let's turn the clock ahead to this Saturday. Mount Union flies for the first time in probably, over 2 decades maybe, Jeff?
Yeah, I think to the 93 Stag Bowl was the last time.
That's amazing. Going to Belton, Texas to play, they've had great games with Mary Hardin Baylor. I look for another one, but they played them twice. It's 1-1 between the two. They've had some classic battles. How do you see the matchup this weekend?
I think it's very close between the two times. I really do. Just kind of glancing at the stats for both teams, they're very comparable. They can run the ball well, pass it well. Mary Hardin Baylor, they both give up about 14 points a game. Mary Hardin Baylor lead Division III in defensive touchdowns with 8. Number 2 is Mount Union with 7. So they both have defenses that are able to score. I think there's going to be a lot of athletes on the field Saturday.
Oh, my goodness. That should be a great matchup. Well, do you think, as far as Mary Hardin Baylor, you've taken a look at them, are they a 50-50 run-pass kind of team, Jeff?
Without seeing the breakdown of the plays, I think the yardage-wise, they've been very comparable. Much like Mount Union, they're both well over 3,000, both passing and rushing. The total yards, I think Mount Union's actually had more total yards than they have. So, I mean, it's very comparable. I think they're very balanced. I think what both teams do so well, whatever the other team's defense is giving you, they're going to take. So if you want to stop the run, they're going to pass it. If you want to stop the pass, and I think that's going to be a key for Saturday. I think they're both going to have to pick out what they want to stop and hope they can stop that and just kind of give up something else.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Mount flies out on Friday, is it, Jeff?
Yeah, I believe. As far as I know, that's what they're doing. Fly to Belton, around the area there. Have a little bit of a practice or a walkthrough Friday, and then the game's at 4:30, so they'll have a little bit of downtime before the game. Probably very similar to what they have in the Stag Bowl with the Friday night games. You know, they'll wake up, they'll probably have some team meetings Saturday, go over some last-minute things. Be ready to play the game at 4:30.
Right. Now, you were saying, Jeff, that would be Central Standard Time, but it's Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 for us.
Yeah.
But it'd be 3:30 Central Standard Time in Texas, correct?
Yeah. The 2 games on the Eastern Time would be the other one, John Carroll and Oshkosh, are going to be played at 1 o'clock our time Eastern, and then that one's at 4:30.
Our 4:30 our time. So, is there anything else you'd like to add about this week's game? Any side things going on as this builds as we get toward the semifinals, Jeff?
I think there's some excitement. I think this is I think for Mount Union, I think they've proven themselves that, number one, they've been worthy of being in the tournament with 3 straight road wins, which nobody's done in the 32-team playoff. And then I think they're excited to go against a team that everybody is tabbing as the favorite, quote unquote, right now. So I think they're kind of relishing in that underdog role, so to speak. And I'm sure Mary Hardin Baylor is probably looking forward to they finally get Mount Union on their home field after the other two
Right,
games.
yeah.
Like you mentioned, two great games.
Just fantastic. Yeah.
Both, Mount Union game in '04, they had the double-digit lead going in the fourth quarter. Mary Hardin Baylor came back, and then in 2012, Mary Hardin Baylor had the double-digit.
Right.
Mount Union came back.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, they've been two games that have come down to essentially the last play of the game. And
Right.
I would not be surprised if the same happened again on Saturday.
Nor would I, Jeff. Well, I think that'll do it for this week's edition of the Mount Union Football Huddle. For Jeff Zupanic, this is Mike Brown. We'll see you on the gridiron.